Sami Mustafa Saab, how are you today?
Well, thank you.
Thank you for taking the time out.
My pleasure.
Education is probably the most important topic and the most ignored topic, I feel, in this country. आपने एक एपिसोड किया था, सॉरी मैंने एक एपिसोड किया था with a principal of a large school, very famous school, and you said you were disappointed with that content. You told me that. What do you think he missed out about education? Because his entire focus in that episode was that the education is all about the teacher and that the teacher drives the education. Do you think differently?
I think that there is a serious crisis brewing or somewhat brewed now in the education sector. The crisis is that education, by and large, is becoming more sterile and it's not related to children's interests or things that are going around now. It's very much in the model of 200 years ago, in England and so forth. What's happening here is that it is not ignored subject at all. In fact, if you look at the donors, the first thing they will do is give money for education. There are conferences after conferences all over, both in Pakistan and abroad. They are revolving around what I would think is peripheral issues. Teacher training. Exam should be multiple choice or not multiple choice, or dropout rate in schools, and so there's an enrollment drive going on in Balochistan and Karachi and Sindh and Punjab and so on and so forth. All these are not wrong factors, but they're really peripheral factors. The most important thing that the gentleman you mentioned missed out completely is what are we going to teach children? And there hasn't been much discussion on that at all.
And that's the curriculum itself.
Broadly.
Right.
Broadly, yes, a curriculum itself. If your foundation is you're teaching something which doesn't interest children, you're teaching something which has no relevance to their growth, intellectual growth, or imagination, then you can have a very good teacher. Some good teachers can, use a bad material and make it interesting. Yes, for sure. But that's an exception. The majority of teachers will follow the curriculum, will follow the exam patterns, will follow disciplinary issues in the school, and so on and so forth. So I think the issue really is what are we teaching our children? And we have heard many times that there's no link with the real world, or the colleges and universities don't produce children with relevance to the economy and so on and so on and so forth. So if you look at efforts that have been made in some, I've done myself as well with government schools. If you turn them around, and children start coming to school themselves, and quite happily, quite enthusiastically. Now, what does turning around mean? That's the key issue. And go ahead.
And I was going to say, when you say turning around, it's probably just curriculum, not
at all.
It's not curriculum.
No, it is. But it's not just curriculum.
It's not just curriculum.
We're sitting in the office here. If office was not as comfortable as it is, this podcast would probably take a little bit of a hit.
So creating the environment physically, this physical space matters.
Absolutely. What we're doing here is we are focusing on physical space.
Right.
So I have worked with schools in Punjab area, particularly in Lodhra, and I worked school in Karachi and in interior Sindh and Khairpur, and there are no bathrooms there, for example. There's no classrooms. The furnitures are not there. In the best of schools I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the really bad ones, because the really bad ones either don't exist,
right,
or if they exist, it's all on the paper. So you create a physical environment. It's like a hospital. You can't have a good doctor. It's like almost saying a good doctor is what we need. So you take Aga Khan and remove it from there and make it into some ordinary building and ill-equipped building and say, well, you're a very good cardiologist. It doesn't work like that at all. So I think that turning around means, give them first a physical environment. But all this is happening in the context of a certain curriculum. The curriculum has to understand that it is no longer a case of regurgitation of in the textbook and then setting in exams, that's what the model is, by the way. Crudely putting, I mean, it doesn't work as crudely as that, but
So it's memorization and recall.
memorization, recall, yeah, all kinds of things.
And we don't need that in the age of AI.
No, it's not. I'll come to AI as well. I'll come to AI as well because we didn't need it any time, even when there were no phones. We didn't need it.
You didn't need this.
No, we didn't need that. We didn't need. If you look back at Maria Montessori, for example, what she did was quite earth-shaking for her time, and remains so somewhat today also. No, it's not AI. It's not mobile phone. It's not computer. It is. There's some help and so forth. So they have to recognize that there are children who have different abilities and different aptitude. There's nothing wrong in your being weak in maths and my being very strong in maths, or you being strong in science and I'm being strong in literature. But no, we all have to judge everybody by the same yardstick. Everybody is judged by the same yardstick. And then we pass judgment on children that so-and-so has failed, this so-and-so student is struggling, without understanding that when you give them the right impetus, and when you give them the right opportunities to flourish, they do wonderfully well. So if you know that in the United States, for example, children go on scholarships of tennis and sports and basketball and so on, but they're saying, that. So there are some schools which have done that, slightly diversified their curriculum within school hours, by the way. A huge number of choices, and they are excelling in drawing, they're excelling in music, they're excelling in tennis, they're excelling in horse riding, and all kinds of things are happening, and they're very interested. For example, one school that I know, children get up at 6 in the morning, they go to the boat club by 6:30 on their own, and from there they practice. This is time of the regattas. By 7:30, they're back in school. They just quickly change their clothes, and they're back in class at 8:15. We don't have to push them. We don't have to.
They do it themselves.
Absolutely. We don't have to coerce them.
And this is your school.
No, it's a school in Karachi. and by the way, and the grades are on top of the top 3-4 schools. So this is an interesting thing to think about. Okay, they are spending so much time, sort of in a sense, by conventional standard wasting, and yet the grades are very good. Yet they are very interested and motivated. So I think that this issue about teacher training is not getting us anywhere.
So you're saying, so what I'm taking away is that when you say that the classroom, the education has become sterile, you're essentially saying that sterility comes from the lack of a good physical space. It comes from the lack of a solid curriculum. Teacher training is a big part of it. And overall, the environment that comes together because of these variables create a sterile education environment, which is what we see in most schools today in Pakistan. Is that a fair assessment?
Reasonably, yeah. When you say strong curriculum, what does a strong curriculum mean? I'll give you an example here. How much we all studied quadratic equation in maths. How much have we used it in the?
I've never used it.
I've never used it.
I barely use the scientific calculator. The other day, I just put up the scientific calculator because it looks fancier on my iPhone. It makes me look intelligent. But I've not used the scientific calculator post A levels.
Right. So I'm just giving one example as a reference.
But I'm more interested in geography and history now than I ever was in the younger days.
You would have failed in my school. My school meaning conventional school.
Right.
Today's school, you would have failed because you have to be good in maths. We don't realize that some children, by the way, it's called dyscalculia. We discovered that 15 years ago, that some children are wired in a way they can't do maths. They must be given exemption in that.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know this was a thing. Dyscalculia.
Dyscalculia.
How do you test that?
I think I have no idea, but I know that there's some tests that you can do.
अब क्या होगा सारे बच्चे ये सुन के ना अपने टेस्ट करवा लेंगे हम सबको डिस्कैलकुलिया हो गया
कर दें क्या हो गया मतलब ये कि
क्या कह रहे हैं पाकिस्तान में मैथ के बगैर आगे बढ़ना कैसे ना इंजीनियरिंग कर सकते हैं ना आप साइंसेस कर सकते हैं आप तो पीछे रह गए
go ahead with your list ना इंजीनियरिंग कर सकते हैं ना साइंस what is
तो इंजीनियरिंग और साइंसेस के बगैर तो आप कुछ भी नहीं है इस मुल्क
कुछ
में
नहीं कर सकते ना जर्नलिज्म नहीं कर सकते आप
कौन देखता है जर्नलिज्म को इस मुल्क में
अच्छा who's well I don't want to say who's making more money but
हाँ पैसे ज्यादा
no पैसे not just the money you're doing some incredible work with non-science, non-maths background. In fact, in business schools in America and here, they prefer you having a liberal arts background.
Agreed. But this, unfortunately, the way our society is wired, it rewards a certain type of curriculum. So my understanding is that if the curriculum is not a certain way, the student is set up for failure, because if they're not going to do math,
No, that's not my experience.
that's not your
No,
experience.
and I run a school.
But the rest of the entire schooling and education system is running on that
No,
system.
no, I'm not. That yeah, sure. That's why we're sitting here. I'm saying that there is a crisis. There is a crisis where we have put all our eggs in one basket, which is the grade basket.
The grade basket.
Yeah, and so the schools that you referred to, the principal from there, they not only print all the names of children who got a good grade, and can you imagine if I got C's and D's and my name is also there,
Right.
and you got all the A stars and your name is also there.
I remember that from my yearbook. It tells you your grades. So we would immediately look and judge people.
Yeah, yeah. And then they also tell you where you were placed, whether you went to Stanford or I went to some small
Yes.
community college or whatever. I mean, it's a funny situation. So then we come to exams. The other problem, what I think is, and I'll send you the article on a case against the school exams. It says it's a scourge. It's really a serious problem, very serious problem, because it pushes you to study for exams. It pushes the tuition culture. And it's not just Pakistan, by the way. Mostly in subcontinent, yes, but it happens elsewhere. It happens in Japan, for example. There is a proper tuition culture, more structured than here. So they go after school for 4 hours for tuitions. And so Japan, a country like I think it's a very serious problem, because the issue here is, A, you're forcing somebody to study to pass, get good grades. B, so the child is not interested in understanding, going into, letting his imagination run wild and say, what does this mean? What is that? No. You just keep to this here because you've got to get good. We'll talk about it after the exams are over. So A, you are pushing him in there. B, what purpose does it serve?
So I will answer that. The exam culture to me serves two clear purposes. Number one, it standardizes a child coming from, let's say, Liari and a child coming from defense. If they both give the same exam, I can at least quantify कि यार इसकी और इसकी knowledge में क्या similarity है, इसकी, let's say, a certain quantification is possible of where I can stack them, even though they came from two completely different economic backgrounds and locales and upbringing and everything. Number one. Number two is what I experienced today. We had a pitch. My team was probably up till 5, 6 in the morning, putting an entire deck together. We went to the client at noon and pitched and came back. And we did this crunch work in the last 48 hours. TK, we had some time and we should have maybe spaced it out, but it was not new for us, because we've dealt with exam culture where the last 48 or 72 hours you are doing this crunch work. So because we've grown up in an environment where the education system taught us to deal with that 72 hours of a crunch period or a 48-hour crunch period, this is normal for us. And it's normal for every single person working in this environment. So if I take that culture away, I lose these two attributes from my personal life experience.
My personal life experience, I'm not so sure what you learn or get for a class 2 child who's 7 years old taking final exams.
So maybe examinations should be...
Yeah, so now you're making the first point now. So you generalized it. That's the first mistake we all do. We generalize it. Exams. No, I think you have to for example, this talk that we're having is more or less focused on primary school and secondary school. It's not on college. It's not in university. So if exams are so important for 3 years or whatever in the COVID period, we didn't have any O-level exams. How did they manage that? Now, since you are a proponent of exams, because you think you can do this.
I mean, that was an anomaly period. How
did we manage it? Did we manage any worse? Because students from O-level got into A-levels on the 3-year pass credentials and the principal's principal's recommendation. They got from A-levels into universities, and some other good universities, right? Yes, it was but it taught you, if people like you who don't understand. I'm just joking.
And that's why you're here, so I can learn.
On a lighter note, who don't understand that they serve no purpose at all. So I'll come to you in a minute. let's say class 2, class 3, class 4, you're saying, okay, let's start from class 6, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you going to learn in class 6 that you don't know already? So you're a teacher, you have come into school. You can talk to some teachers for at some point in your podcast. Within 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, they will know this child is English is weak, or this child's maths is weak, or this child, can't sit and take exams, or what number of things. They know it in 4 to 6 weeks. Easy. I've also taught, so I know it from experience as well. So you're letting it go for a whole year, and then you're telling them, sorry, you didn't make it. You have to repeat this class. In the school that you're talking about, I don't know why you're focusing on their school. They teach you till O level, and then in O level they decide, sorry, you're not good enough to go into A level. Is that correct? What were you doing for 11 years with me? You see what happened here is that, so it's become a demigod. And we have learned to worship all kinds of demigods, all kinds of. Exam is one of them. And if you did not have tuition culture, exams, it would have a very different impact on extra learning, let's call it, instead of tuitions. It's a rat race. It's really a rat race. And it's simply what exams do. It takes the high achievers and confirms that you're a high achiever, and takes the not high achievers or low achievers and says you're no good, a low achiever, number one. So 6, 7, 8, I'm not so sure what. So again, I know a school where till class 9 they have no exams. How are they managing their O level at the top 3, 4 schools? I think these things that need to be discussed. I'm not saying that all is hunky dory with that approach. I'm simply saying, now, if you're going into medical school, then you need to have some credentials, whether it's exams or whether it is their own tests. That's fine. That's not a problem at all, because to do surgery, it's not general knowledge. It is very specific knowledge. To do civil engineering, it's not general knowledge. It is specific knowledge of strength and this and that accounts for that matter, or number of things. So yes, sometimes a testing is important for your particular purpose. So you are testing me now for a particular purpose, whether I can be a good medical student or not. Here we're testing them for God knows for what. I have no idea what they're
So
testing.
do you think this is also a problem outside of Pakistan? Is it a global problem? I mean, we see this in England, we see this in the US. They also have an examination culture. So you're telling me that overall education globally has a fundamental problem.
Absolutely. I told you in the beginning that this is, see, what's happening here is the two things. One is the product, and one is its delivery.
When was this created? Like from a history of education perspective, when was this?
Look, I think that I don't know the background, but my general reading is that education was available to the very, very rich. That's why Oxford is 1,000 years old. Cambridge is 700 or whatever. LSE is 300 years old and so forth. So there was education available in a very specific class. I think it became public education came into vogue. I'm suspecting with the Industrial Revolution, where they needed the babus, they needed the clerks and this and that. So I can understand that if you are producing clerks and you're producing accountants and you're producing this and that, then all you need to know is your language skills. You know your spelling, you know the thing. Can you take dictation? That's fine. Well, we're no longer producing clerks. Times have changed in particularly last 100 years and particularly 50 years.
So the question then is, what are we producing? And the other question is, what should we be producing?
So before that, so if you're, I said the product has to be right, and I think the product today is wrong. It requires a lot of tweaking.
The global product of education.
Well, GRE is not Karachi, right? SAT is not Pakistan.
And you don't think that the distinctions that exist between the baccalaureate, let's say the O level, A level, the high school system, that's not enough of a distinction in terms of product? Even these are flawed.
No, I think baccalaureate is certainly understand this problem somewhat. They have not been able to universalize it as like O level has done. And so coming back to that, if your product is not good, and then delivery is also not good. So the difference between West and East is, in my opinion, to put it simply, that the delivery system is very good in the West. Proper buildings, proper facilities, proper this, proper that, sports grounds. Here we have neither the product is good, nor the system is, nor the infrastructure is good here. So particularly in Sindh, there's a very serious problem because there's a thing called absentee teachers very commonly, and it's taken for as if it's okay. Then there are teachers who will come and teach for a short while, go away, do some other job. Particularly in this province here, it may be in all provinces also. I'm not familiar with that. I worked in Lodhra in Punjab, and it was much less so at that point in time. And I'll give you an example of what I was saying. In Lodhra, the Punjab government had given Jahangir Tareen 85 government schools to run. So he came and saw me and said, "Can you help us out?" And we worked together. We turned around 4 or 5 schools. I said, "I'll do one school a year. I can't do 85, obviously." And he was also paying for a TCF school 3-4 miles down the road from where we've done. In 2 years, 31 students from those TCF schools shifted to the government school.
Why is that?
Well, because as I said, education has to be a living thing. It can't be, rote learning. It cannot be regimented. It cannot be this and that. So, for example, all we do is sports facilities are very elaborate to start with. Art is a very elaborate department. Art. Yeah, children are.
No, sports I can understand.
No,
Art.
You give them a piece of paper and give them crayons or watercolor and say, draw whatever you want. And
art is an afterthought in most schools in the city.
No, not really, but not given sufficient. I think what you mean is, it's not afterthought. Everybody is paying lip service to music and art and everything, but not doing it well.
No, but why do I need to learn art? I mean, I remember my art.
You're not. See, this is the problem. You don't have to learn. You have to have a happy childhood.
No, but I was graded in my art class also. I hated it because I was not an artist.
That's all right.
And that ruined my overall grade. I remember that distinctly.
Well, there you are.
And I didn't enjoy it because it was how can you judge me for my expression? My expression can be in any form and I should not be judged on my expression.
That is the point. No? So if you're not good at art, but you're good in drawing, we should celebrate you. You are neither good in art nor in drawing, but you're very good in music. We should celebrate you for that. Maybe you're good in all three and plus in academics. We should celebrate you for that.
So when you say art, you're encompassing all of the arts.
No. I'm talking about painting.
Oh, you're just talking about painting.
Yeah.
And would you think that music also needs to be a part of this education system?
All schools have it, by the way, but they don't do it anywhere close to anything meaningful, anywhere.
So if you were to start with, let's say, so I'll come to sports in a second. If you were to start with an elaborate arts and a music program, what would it look like?
When we took up Fatma Jinnah School here in Karachi, there was a hall which must be about 60 or 80 feet long by 40 feet wide. And it was closed. There were old furnitures and there were bats inside it. So we cleaned it up. It took us about 2 minutes to clean it up, and we built furnitures. And you would see that at any given point in time, right from 4 or 5 year olds to 10, 12, 15 years old, were busy getting with the paper, working on with crayon or watercolor or pencil color and all that. And then we would display it happens in every school. And then they display their work there. They loved it. They wanted to come to school for that. Then there was sports. They loved it. They wanted to come to school for that. But nobody is dying to come to learn quadratic equation, for example, or nobody is dying to know when Mughals invaded India, as of today, sort of thing. So I think that when you say that with AI and all that, people show this smartphone and say this has more information, as your friend did, more information than a teacher can. Well, they're missing the point. The point here is that it only has information. It does not have knowledge.
What's the difference?
Information is the raw material, and what you do with it is up to you. And there's a third stage called imagination. So our school's philosophy, philosophy is, Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge. Now, yes, I know it is too esoteric. Maybe it's difficult to put a handle on it. But I think it's very right, because we do not promote imagination. So when we say, let's encourage critical thinking, well, how are you going to encourage critical thinking when I have to appear for my exam in 2 months' time? And how are you going to if the teacher does not understand critical thinking, how is he or she going to create that critical thinking? But the meaning of this is too fluid, and it's anybody's interpretation. So I think that there's a big difference between information and knowledge. Forget imagination; that's a different kettle of fish.
So if you were to focus an education system on information, acquisition of knowledge, or acquisition of the ability to imagine, do you focus on all three
Yes.
or only one?
No, all three.
How do you develop each?
Yeah, so that is the problem. So that is what needs to be worked upon. So the discourse, and I said not only in Pakistan but world over, is one on non-issues. Not that's a strong word. On issues which are peripheral. This is what we need to concentrate. The problem is often when you become reasonable, you are likely to lose a lot of roots that was holding you together. That's why it's like a religious belief. If you give that up, you find yourself a fairly lost person. There are some absolutely assumed axiomatic things in education. Exams are very important, right? No, it is not. It is not. There are ways of doing it. 10 minutes every week, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, some, small test or something like that. It'll tell you anyway. As I said, teachers will know each child's strength and weakness and so on. So the school should have enough infrastructure to provide a variety of inputs and opportunities. We don't have that. So some schools in the West do, for sure. Finland is doing a very interesting experiment for the last 15 years, 20 years. I have not read too much about it. I only hear from here and there, but they have done away with computers. They say, no, we don't need computers, only 1 hour in a week. They are sort of encouraging hands-on learning, which is also a bit of a Montessori method. And their standing worldwide is at the top in maths, I think, the children, at the top in language, that kind of situation. So we need to look at, I don't have enough information. We need to look into these things. What are they doing? And can this be used as a base from which there will be some changes, obviously, given the specific situations of each country and each society. But it has to be done that way. So the issue really is the curriculum can be very rigorous, can be very strong, can be very, but maybe in the wrong direction. And so you have to be very careful. So I think the in a sense, the byproduct, one of the problems of what I'm describing here is that curriculum becomes the center of focus in education sector. And the child should be the center of focus. That shift has had some very major problems.
So you're saying the child should be the focus of the education, the center of the focus. Right now it's the curriculum.
Absolutely. That everybody will tell you.
So what role does teacher training, and there's various teacher training institutes out there locally, internationally, Notre Dame comes up, IED comes up, there's a bunch of them. What role do they have to play in creating teachers that can develop the ability to acquire information, knowledge, and imagination while balancing the needs of the curriculum?
There are 3 or 4 attempts that have been made, teachers training in Pakistan. And they have all had very little or none impact on society, on the school culture. Why do you think?
Because no one wants to change status quo.
Partly that's fine. That's you and I also don't want to change status quo in a sense, something. No, there's a bigger problem. And I was on the founding board of the Teachers Resource Center. I gave the first workshop in 1986. Sarah Jaffrey had organized through the Aga Khan funds. It had some very promising things. And I was telling them that there's a problem here. The problem is that, let's say, government schools, for example, or even private schools. See, when you talk about government schools and private schools, we miss out one big thing, that there are a whole variety of private schools. The private schools in Karachi, which are charging 200 rupees, 300 rupees, 400 rupees, there's the private school which are charging 5,000 rupees, 10,000, costing 50,000 rupees. So that completely different breeds altogether, but we collapse them. So because the discussion is not serious. If you were serious, if you're running a business, you need to know exactly what this will imply.
Right.
We're not serious, but we're discussing education, this and that. And I was telling Stella at that time that the government school teacher has to teach absolutely rubbish books in the school that day. Method is rote. Then they come to, in this heat in the bus to TRC. It was first in the grammar school building, then they moved to the Apua building. And then you give them a very good workshop, whether it is Mr. Faizan or Mr. Jafri or Sami Mustafa, whoever. What do they do with it when they go back tomorrow morning to school? So that was a major disconnect. And then I finally resigned after 3 years or so. I said, you need to take 2 or 3 government schools where you can have the authority to change. And whatever change your workshop is advocating should be done there. And then you expand from there. They didn't do that. So I know TRC, I know Ali Institute of Education, I know a wee bit about the Institute of Educational Development in IED. I've heard of Notre Dame, and much as people praise Notre Dame as being the this and that, I don't know of any school which has graduates from there. And I asked you a question that day, how many graduates from Notre Dame? So they're good efforts, they're well-meaning efforts, but they're not understanding this disconnect. So you can tell them that you should teach them like this and you should teach them like that, and in maths and so on and so forth, which is very nice. And I hear your workshop. Tomorrow when I go back, I was taught to use physical things to teach them accounting. And here is this maths book on newsprint printed and stuff like that, and children have to do that. Disconnect. So it will not work. It has not worked so far, and it's very unlikely to work unless a teacher's training college comes up with some emphasis on changing the school. You have to have a lab. So the lab will tell you that, yes, this result is working, this is not working. And then you expand that lab.
But the government is not the institution to give you a lab. Why would the government give you a lab to play with?
Why not?
They gave rules, regulations, mandates.
No. These are our excuses. The educationists are the worst people to bring about any reform in education.
That's ironic.
The policemen are the worst people to bring reform in the police department.
Right.
Yeah, it will be somebody outside. And it happened all the time. Strange people have come from strange quarters and made a change. No, they do. It's a struggle. There are no major rules that you're violating. If you're fixing the bathroom, but what rules are you violating? If you're giving them an AV room where you can show them film, what rule are you violating?
But then there's the question that comes to my mind, is there someone who benefits in keeping the system the way it is? Is there a political side to education that we're missing out on?
Most people say that. I don't think so. I mean, there must be some tribal pockets where they don't want this to happen. That's a different situation. This was true in England as well 200, 300 years ago. No, I think it is a major intellectual vacuum here, that we are not understanding what connects what.
When you say intellectual vacuum, you mean in terms of...
We're discussing wrong things. We're saying, teacher training, the issue is curriculum. The issue is how do you diversify curriculum in a practical sense.
What was your view on the single national curriculum initiative that had come up a few years ago?
It never took off.
Why do you think that
was... off because it is a non-issue. It's a stillborn child. Single national curriculum meaning what? English or Urdu, first of all? Are you doing that national curriculum in English or Urdu? And then in Sindh, are you doing it in Sindhi or Urdu or English? What? I mean,
but it's a single national curriculum. It should be one language, no?
Yeah.
I mean, it can't be multiple.
So now I'm a Sindhi and you're a Baloch and we are being told that you should learn Urdu.
No, we should learn English.
Well, whatever.
I mean, English should have been the national language of this country.
So now we have to first create that English, right? So national curriculum, you're saying, is all in English.
Yeah, it should be.
No, I'm not saying should be. It was never spelled out like that.
It was never spelled out like that.
It can't be spelled out like that. Even if it was spelled out, it can't work because you're not going to teach somebody from, rural area to learn a language which is normally used in an urban area or whatever.
Makes him employable remotely. I mean, they can speak English. They're living in a rural area. Give them internet, and they can work for the world.
Well, they have been working anyway without your degree. A lot of plumbers, a lot of this, a lot of that, a lot of they've been working anyway. Yes, if you go into, I'm talking about universities now. I'm not talking about university. If you're in the university situation, yes, you're required. Even if you want to be a nurse in a hospital, you need to have some background. Yes, but who runs your plumbing system here? Who runs your electric systems here?
So they don't need English.
No. There's no. English is an international language. Everybody needs it. But now you're telling me that I should be studying geography in English when I can barely speak English. You're telling me that I should be studying maths in English. I'm saying there's a huge confusion about these things. So these are politically sexy things. Single national curriculum. It doesn't work.
Who's responsible for sorting this out at the national level?
Well, I will again say that this is an intellectual crisis where we are not being able to see the connection. And I think some small baby steps will probably lead that way. I think some schools should be taking charge of this as well. Not government schools, obviously, because they have their perhaps private schools. And my experience is that when you have a very different curriculum, parents throng. They don't run away. Don't say, my child is not learning maths. They don't say that.
Do you think Pakistan would ever see a curriculum that is 100% English, and then you can learn whatever regional or local language you want to learn, but we all speak English? Because we're not all Urdu speaking. We're all either Balochi, Punjabi,
No, we are not Urdu speaking.
Huh?
We are not Urdu speaking at all. I mean,
None of us are, yes. None of us in that sense are
all
Urdu
the major
speaking.
languages are non-Urdu.
So then we keep the major languages as a secondary language, and we keep English as a national language, and that becomes a language of instruction. Why can't it be that
Why
simple?
don't you go and tell Switzerland to change one single language? They have 4 languages, and they're all national languages. Why don't you go and tell them that?
Because do we have higher education and text and content and books in the right language to deliver the education? Because that's another problem. You need the
But
content.
that's the whole problem.
We don't have the content.
So if you want to study medicine in, let's say even in Urdu for a change, or in Baloch, or in Balochi, or in Sindhi, where are the books?
There are no books.
There are no books. So either you work on this. For example, in Bangladesh, there's a Bangla Academy there, whose job was to translate all their curriculum into Bengali. I don't know how successful they were because no contact with them for a while. You don't have anything like that here. So it's all political gimmickry that, by doing something. So then everybody gets very busy with national curriculum, right? Single national curriculum. Why did Switzerland not change into French?
Because they had the text. They had the books.
Maybe, but why not just one language? The problem is that why one language? Why one? Let them be what they're doing. The point here is that I'm sure that even though they have 4 languages, English probably dominates. That's my guess. Because internationally,
It's the language of the world, right?
why? It is a language of the world. English, it is a language of the world. Even in Japan, for example, which prospered like nobody's belief with their own language, did that. Now they're going into English as well, right? So Tehran has done scientific leaps and bounds in their own language. They haven't. Turkey.
But that's different. Farsi has been around for, it's a civilization. It's not just, it's been around for thousands of years, right? Turkey, the history is really, really long.
Please understand that then.
Our history is 70 years old.
No, that's not true.
Yes, we had a civilization, fine, the Indus civilization,
No,
we
don't have a civilization like the Ottomans or the Iranians.
Exactly.
I understand that. But why, this is not the issue. You teach them in whatever language you teach them, and you teach them English as a language they should learn. Let's say from class 7 onwards, they take English as a compulsory subject, so that they are proficient in English. They have learned, understood, and what knowledge and imagination has come from their own language. There is no debate on that. That is one thing which is very clear generally. Maybe there's some people still debate it, that you only learn in your own language.
So you're saying that the language that you have grown up in, the language of your house, that is spoken in your house,
society,
and your society that you're a part of. So let's say you're born in rural KPK, you're born in Balochistan. whatever the language is at your home is the language you should learn to imagine, acquire knowledge, and acquire information in till the age of 6.
No. Whatever we decide.
Right.
I didn't say age. I said class 6, class 7, class 8.
Sorry, class 6, right?
Yeah. So you can learn whatever you want. And I think some countries are doing that, by the way. For example, in Netherlands, my son went for his bachelor's. His was the first batch which was doing a BA program in English. It was all in Dutch. Master's was only in English.
Wow.
So that's for the first batch when Tamur went, which was where were they behind? They were way ahead of the subcontinent countries which pretend to speak English like you and I. So there are many countries that are doing that and saying we'll teach you in your language because you think in your own language. Imagine telling a child at 2-year-old in English and you speak Sindhi or you speak Balochi or you speak Urdu or whatever. It's bizarre. So you teach them that these are simple things, by the way. Yes, the devil is in the details. So when it comes to a national program, there will be lots of things happening here. First of all, these absentee teachers will have to disappear. Secondly, the massive leakage in the education department will have to disappear. There's a lot of money. Sindh government, for example, and I know familiar with it, it has a lot of money. Money is not an issue. So these are the things that we can happen. Teach them, tell them that everybody has to take English as an optional subject from class 3 to class 6, and from class 7, it's a compulsory subject. So you have learned it, and maybe you don't have use for English. You don't need English. I mean, lots of children today, whether they're going in journalism, they don't need maths. We give exemption in maths, not left, right, and center, but in specific cases we will.
So with all of these various factors at play, if there was one thing that was preventing Pakistan from being at a 100% literacy rate, what do you think that one thing is?
May I ask you what literacy rate means?
It's not the way we define it. Literacy rate.
That's correct, right? Yeah. So Sri Lanka has 100% literacy rate or 98%. It's all in Sinhalese. So I have a friend who does computer software in Colombo, and also in Washington. He has to get people from India to come and do his software. Never mind, yes, Sri Lankans are far gentler people. They read in the newspapers like our people used to read Jung and stuff like that. Yeah. So literacy rate is, that's not the issue at this point.
No, and if I define it by saying literacy rate means your ability to read, write, speak, at least to the level of 6th grade child.
No, you're not wrong. I'm just saying that, but that right now, that's not the issue. England became a world power when there was 26% literacy in England. Do you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Check that out. So the issue is no, I'm not saying that the other 78% or 72%, whatever, they're okay in not being educated. Of course, it's a right. And I feel very strongly that everybody should be educated. But the focus is not on literacy then. Everybody 100% literacy. The focus is on 100% meaningful education.
What's the difference?
Big difference. Because literacy means I can read newspaper, I can sign my name, I can do some basic calculations and maths and so on and so on and so forth. Education is not about acquiring information. Education is about flourishing. Education is about letting your imagination in a structured way. And the school should be helping you when that imagination happens. You can do this here.
So it's about the application of that information to help you flourish in life, in different areas of life. That's education.
You can say that. I'm not too fond of the word information, by the way. You seem to be using it quite frequently. That's all right.
It's the old banker in me. I look at numbers and data and information.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry you couldn't do any better than that.
I'm trying now. I'm learning now.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm on the road to redemption.
It goes without saying that you need to have information. I need to know how many flights I have to go, walk down to go get a car. I have to have that information. But what I do with that information is a different matter.
That's education.
That's education. So you take let's break them into, let's take a 5, 6, 7-year-old. So when I started the music program, they said, at what point should we start music? They said class 5. I said, no, I'm going to start it from class play group, which is class 3, which is 3 years old.
Hmm.
And last year they performed with a violin, and we had to import them from United States and all that. They performed these 4-year-olds on a stage. What do you think is done to the children?
4-year-olds on stage with a violin.
Yeah.
I've not
There's a
seen
good
that.
20 minutes, by the way, different groups.
Wow.
It does something to them. So, and maybe nothing to some students, nothing. I understand that. So, like you hated painting or art or whatever, it's fine.
I enjoyed doing it. I hated being judged for it. Because I was not good at it. So I didn't like being judged for something I was not good at, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, but I need to know how good you are, right? That was your argument about exams.
Exactly. Someone needed to see where I stacked up in class.
Why?
Yeah, relevant for art because
No, it's relevant for everything. Because in maths, if I said no maths is okay, no, that's not what I'm saying. I think to understand that 5 plus 4 is 9, and 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 20% off means that's fine. So everything in a rudimentary sense is absolutely the basic, no question about that. Because I go to a shop and I don't need saying this is 9 rupees, this is 5 rupees, and I don't know how to calculate. I take out my calculator. No, that's not what happens. I think that there is no harm in also pushing them a bit more, but only a bit more on their terms. What we do is we push them on our terms, which is curriculum, the teacher's own, insecurities or his own need to show that I'm very learned. And so very few teachers will say, I don't know, I'll find out for you and come and tell you tomorrow. Very few teachers will say that. Some do. And they're good teachers, by the way. The not so good ones are not going to say that. So, yes, of course, we need to do all these things. Of course, we need to do. That's why we have sports. We have a number of things here. So, I think that to sum it up in a way, that if we start the debate that, look, schools are going to be like this for a while, 50 years, 100 years, if we survive that long, the planet survives. I think that we are not teaching them anything about the planet, anything. University of Cambridge introduce environmental education or something called 7-8 years ago only. We have been teaching environment, a subject called from class 3 to class 6, environment for last 40 years.
40 years.
40 years. It was very rudimentary, that's shaped up. So everybody is now noticing that we now need to connect. So we don't know what's happening, what is this global warming all about, or what is pollution is all about. We have some idea, but if it is drilled into us in a playful manner, in an enjoyable manner, so children's enjoyment is not really important in our present set. It's their performance and then what grades they get. That is the crisis, and that crisis has to be addressed. And that phone that you think this is better than 10 teachers put together is no good.
Why is that? Everything I need is right here.
Well, you try it sometimes.
And I have the knowledge to know how to use it.
No. You have the knowledge to use it, and you have a lot of information there.
The information is here, and I have the knowledge. That's a lethal combination.
I'll ask you another time to find out from your phone some questions and see what you come up with.
The thing is that so here's my thesis, right? If I think that if I've been trained on it with an imagination, so if I have an imagination, all the information is right here, thanks to AI and all of the models and so on and so forth. And I have a certain level of knowledge that I've acquired with time. These three things, this included, is a deadly combination. It makes the unstoppable human being, because you have the imagination to think creatively outside the box. That information is available instantly, and your knowledge allows you to process and apply and adapt to that information. Say, okay, can this work here? Can this work here? But you need to then do something with it, which is the last part of, I think, the education system, which we haven't covered, is the discipline of execution, the doing of the thing.
Absolutely.
Right? So we've talked a lot about knowledge and the curriculum and the learning and the information. But then at the end of the day, life is about doing things.
Absolutely.
And if you're not good at doing things consistently, when they get boring, when they get tiring, when you don't want to do them, when you're sick, and you haven't built that skill set, then all of this knowledge, imagination, information is useless.
Yeah, but it goes without saying. I mean, if you are doing gardening, you can't be doing gardening without a discipline.
But are we teaching that? Because a part of me says that the existing education system does a reasonable job with discipline, start time, end time, classes, schedule, uniforms. At least in our society, we have this concept of uniforms. The uniforms have to be a certain way, pressed. I mean, you look at some of the other schools with the American education system, they look like they've just walked out of bed. And they justify that way. Let them be. They're acquiring information and knowledge. I mean, at least this system gives you that discipline that every day.
Maybe I'm not clear, saying it clearly. I'm not saying that all of these things, none of these things are important. Discipline is not important. Structure is not important. English is not important. I'm not saying anything of that. I'm just simply saying that they all have to be put together in a certain perspective around the core issue. I don't know if I'm making myself clear.
And the core issue is that
What do we teach them?
what do we teach them?
What do we teach them? And then comes, how do we teach them? Well, you can have a good curriculum. What do we teach them? And that can be messed up. But with time, that will come. So I think that rather than teacher training programs, if your ethos of the school or the culture or the philosophy of the school is progressive, teachers fall in line. So, for example, in my school, there are 240 teachers from the kindergarten section to senior section. How many of these can have a degree in education? Just per percentage wise.
Less than 10%?
Sorry? Less than?
10%?
Zero.
Zero have a degree in education.
Yeah. And why are we on the better schools? I'm not saying very good, but let's say among the better. So the issue is that you have to create a culture. Look, I mean, you know that office environment tells you going to Citibank and going into some other bank, it creates its own culture. And you fall in line. And if you don't fall in line, then you're out. That's fine. So whether it is a restaurant, whether it is a bank, whether it's a school, a hospital. It's a hospital. I mean, the hospital has its own culture. You can go into Aga Khan. Even the lab centers outside Aga Khan, they will wear the gloves and so on and so forth. They all train. Obviously, they get a training. So nobody is denying that these things are not. Everything that you mentioned is correct. It's just that they've been put in a very strange, in terms of order, priority, it's very, very strange. And that has to go so that we can focus on the main thing. And Aga Khan, it's not a successful hospital because there are good doctors.
It's all of it. You said the physical space,
Absolutely.
the environment.
Absolutely.
Beyond
ethos.
the ethos.
This all adds up to the ethos.
Yeah.
You need to have good doctors as well.
Yeah.
And that's why they keep going for training and so on and so forth.
Yep.
Ethos is very important. And ethos includes all of these things. And teacher training will become a very important thing then. But it will be done in a very different context. That context has not appeared so far in our discourse. And discourses are plenty in Pakistan and abroad.
And in this, what should we teach them question? What role does AI have to play? And technology?
You're asking the wrong man because I'm quite anti-technology.
You're opposed to technology. Why are you opposed to technology in the education system?
Particularly in the education sector.
Particularly in the education.
Yeah. If you're running a bank, then I think you need technology.
Yeah.
If you're running an airline, you need a technology. If you're running a big corporation, you need technology. I don't think you need.
Why is that? I'm
Because
curious.
I think historically and even currently, good education comes from human interaction. Now imagine if Socrates was sending you out on a message or on Zoom about his philosophy and you were sitting in Pakistan, it won't work.
Well, you've got a lot of philosophers on Instagram and LinkedIn these days.
Well, yeah, but so we are talking about 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old as the audience. They need to be, even in hospitals. I feel a little concerned about this telemedicine because I think that it's important that you have that touch of the doctor, the presence of the doctor. In education is absolutely axiomatic.
So you're saying that a big part of education is the human connection.
Always. In big part of learning anything. If your mother was
I've
not,
never looked at it that way.
if your mother was not there, who teaches you all this? If father was not there, your siblings were not there, whoever you were born in. And somebody said, okay, just press that button. You taught you how to press the button. You would be a very strange individual. So I think that human touch, human feelings, sitting there, seeing your face, you're seeing my face. We couldn't have done this on a Zoom, perhaps. Maybe sometimes you have to do it. But some things are okay. I mean, if you're running a large corporation with head office in Geneva and you're here, yeah, you can't be going back and forth. But I think that in education it is absolutely imperative that you have a human being there. Now, again, coming back to it, that all of these things are important. We also we depend on technology. We do show them films, for example. We do show them our classrooms, not all of them, even for the little ones, has a projector and it sort of throws in maths problems on the screen and children love it. So there is it's a question of proportion.
So if you had to design the perfect system, the perfect curriculum of what should we teach them, and you had to judge if that has been delivered effectively, the measurement system, what would it look like?
Yeah, that's a very difficult question, and certainly not for this podcast. You'll have to give me more time, but I have some ideas of what it
Rudimentary idea, like a skeleton
No, even
framework.
rudimentary will take some time. Rudimentary will take some time. Look, I think I have some idea because some of it in a very, very elementary sense, we are doing it. Why are we teaching music from 3-year-old all the way up to? Because I feel there's certain that growth means focusing on your strength, focusing on your passion, and sometimes a 3-year-old or 5-year-old does not know what his or her passion is. We have to expose them. So we're exposing them. Then a time comes when you have to, in the process, not time comes, but in the process, you're also nurturing them. We're doing neither of in the conventional schools. We are simply saying, did you find out your tables? Did you learn your tables? Or did you know this? Or can you read this? No, I can't read this. I mean, it's not a problem. I mean, so I think that the system will look very different than what it is today. Very, very different. This system has to go. The system cannot survive. It has really become a bit, I won't use the word fossilized, but somewhat fossilized. It has to go. And I think that if you start focusing on relationship of exams to what we teach and how we teach, you'll see the disconnect immediately. It's not serving any purpose. When you see an entrance test for a medical college in Aga Khan, it makes perfect sense. But we need to know that. It does not mean that you'll be a good doctor. Maybe you have learned the technique of passing medical tests. It's fine. But that we can't do anything about it.
Right.
That we don't know whether you have good tableside manners or not. We don't know whether you have compassion generally or not. Or this. So I can completely understand. You need to, if somebody comes to your office for a job, you will have to see what the language skills are like and so on and so forth. That's fine. But why are you doing that for a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old? Why are you doing that there? I mean, there is no reason for doing that.
So it should apply to, let's say, 10th grade and above, 9th grade and above.
Look, I mean, I think when you say AI and all that, social media is being banned in 4 or 5, 6 countries in the West, particularly. Spain being one, Australia being one, something like that. Because its downside is very serious. It's very, very serious. I think it'll be banned in this country also very soon. Very, very soon.
Do you think so?
Yeah. And I know where it'll start.
Where will it start?
It'll start somewhere that I'm familiar with.
Okay.
Because it is really. So why do we send children to a zoo, or why do we send them to
exposure, experiences?
No, it is getting in touch with nature. They go to zoos, they go to farms, they go and see the green turtle laying eggs, for example, every year.
What about if they go to a mosque or a church?
You can.
What is the role of religion in education?
Well, depending on your perspective, in some countries, state and religion have been separated. So you obviously religion has both matter of faith and culture. You learn the culture, obviously. You learn the culture. Some faith can be taught at home. So that's a difficult area, and think that I'm not going that far. I'm simply saying that the new model of educational system will look very different, and I think this is the thing that we need to talk about.
So do you feel religion should be taught in schools?
Sorry.
Do you feel religion should be taught in schools?
It's very hard to say because each society has. This is a very general question.
Because a society is comprised of many religions, right? And minorities, majority, whatever it
There
is.
you go.
And each majority also has its own subsect.
That's correct.
So then does that belong in a school?
That's
Because
what-
you said that languages should be the regional language and the language of the home. So in that case, then it should be the religion of the home that is taught in the school based on the same argument.
No, I think you can teach them at home. I mean, we all learned religion at home. We all had a Maulvi Sahib come teach us Quran. I mean, it wasn't school.
So then we shouldn't have religion in schools.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we all learned religion at home.
Combination, we learned it in school also. I remember that we...
Sure. Look, as I said, everything is a question of the quantum of what you're doing. What quantum or what dosage the child gets of this. Obviously, there's a Eid happening here. Children know that this is an Islamic thing here. A progressive school should do all its that particular society's main religious holidays. Should also do what Christmas does and what Holi does and what Nowruz does and stuff like that.
But that's holistic. Then that's religion as a broad stroke.
That's correct.
Rather than your religion.
That's
You can practice it whatever you want at home.
You can't practice your practice.
But we were not taught Christianity in school.
No, I'm saying you can't teach your religion in school because there is so much diversity in it.
Correct. So that means that because I had to study religion once I left school. In college, it was offered as courses. There was religions of the world, and I was curious, so I took that and I learned about religions of the world. But till the age of 18, my school did not teach me about the other religions in this world, and I had to find that information myself. And every student has been through that experience, at least here.
Absolutely.
Is that the right experience? That's not the right experience.
No, I think that even O-level has introduced religious studies. So there's Islamiyat, and you have an option. Sometimes students take both Islamiyat and religious studies. Religious studies are Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. At some point, they'll do Hinduism, Shinto,
Buddhism, Taoism,
yeah, they will do that.
Zoroastrianism.
That. Even just a bit of introduction will be good.
Yeah.
So things are moving in that direction because we have to become citizens of the world,
Right.
and also tolerant towards other faiths and beliefs.
Because if education is about human connection, is what you said, ultimately it's about how we can all live together in a society.
Absolutely.
With the differences we all have.
Absolutely.
And that's what education should be.
We generally do. There are other.
Well, right now, given the world situation, it's not really a good example
these
of...
are political. You know that. You know that. It's all political. I mean, I don't think...
Maybe politicians should get an education.
I don't think an ordinary Jew has any problem with a Christian in New York. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
think
they
so.
don't.
No, not at all. I don't think we have any problem with a Christian or a Hindu in Pakistan. You do your work. You've been hired for a certain work, and you do that. You do your practice. You go to your temple and go to my mosque. I think these are staged conflicts, which is a serious problem. But that's a political problem, not a educational problem. But to focus, instead of going all over, I'm just saying to focus on the fact that let's talk about the education of a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year, 6-year-old.
So your key point is the foundational education of children needs to be done right, not the way it's being done today.
Correct.
And what we're teaching them...
No, but it depends on what you call foundation, up to what level you go.
So that's the question. So from the age of, let's say, 2, 3, 4, whatever, where the starting point is, to wherever, let's say, testing becomes necessary to standardize or determine what their next level of higher education needs to be. That's what testing is essentially
what level
accomplishing.
in your mind, that is, what is that level?
What is that level? I think it's 9th grade.
Fair enough. So let's leave it at 9th grade. I disagree, but we'll leave it at 9th grade. And that famous principal also said that a child doing O-level in Kent is more or less the same as somebody from Nawab Shah doing O-level.
And I disagreed with that.
I know that. That's why I told you, right? So where is all this coming from?
Where is it coming from? I actually don't know.
Well, we'll talk about it, but I'm saying where is it coming from? It's not true at all. Because education is not just the O-level exam. Education is exposure. The question is, I was brought up in a home where there was very little music. We're all engineers, a doctor. My father was a doctor and so forth. So it's an exposure. You can't teach me music now. Many children are born with music. So a child in Kent or wherever, London or wherever, and Nawab Shah or Addis Ababa or wherever, cannot be the same just because they've taken the same exam. It cannot be. And I think these are the misconceptions. There are lots of misconceptions, and we are not ready to stand up and say the emperor has no clothes. And I think that is and it will happen very soon, because it is now reaching a breaking point. I don't mean in a crisis sense or in a dramatic sense point, but everybody's understanding that, no, there's something not right. But it's become a second nature. It's like a habit. You go to school. The reason why it will not break and it will continue is because when the children go to school, it is a socialization process for them. They're going there for friends, having fun and eating, makai wala se and fala and this and that.
It teaches them how to operate in society and in community.
So it is a socialization what they're going for. They're not going to learn anything, but they're learning anyway. Yes, of course they're going to learn. Your parents are paying for that. They're also learning. When I'm saying that you're going for socialization, don't misunderstand. I'm saying that they are not going to learn maths or English or geography or history. All this is happening, but the attraction is that they want to see their friends. And every time somebody changes school, they say, I'm missing my friends. They don't say I'm missing that teacher or this subject or that subject. So there is a positive side to it. It collects people. Collects people to have fun together, to play, to fight, to argue, and so on and so forth. So it will be a while before it takes any definitive shape to that change, but it will happen.
I have one last question for you. You mentioned something earlier when we were talking. You said that you started your school at the same time another school, Beaconhouse, that started at the same time. They chose a completely different path. They chose the path of scale. You mentioned it was probably 200,000 students that they're teaching. You chose a different path. What made you decide to stick with this path and not scale the way they scaled? Why didn't you choose a path of scale at that level?
I think most decisions we make in life are not based on what this and what that. It's very intuitive. Starting with marriages, for example, it's very intuitive. There's no way of saying what will happen or not happen. It's just a certain personality that rather focus within and see what we are doing. If we were Beaconhouse, and I have a lot of respect for Beaconhouse, purely in the sense that for the reason that they have provided reasonably better education other than government school to a very large number of people in the nook and corner of Pakistan. We couldn't do that. So, but if I were Beaconhouse, we could not address some of the issues that I've been addressing in my school. It would be just not possible at all, because the management itself would be taking more than the time I could give. So when you do, if I may call R&D, R&D is a small lab. R&D is not for your viewers, research and development. It has to be done on a smaller scale. And the fact that we said that there will be no final exam till class 9, that was an experiment which paid off more than we expected. Couldn't have done that if we had a chain of schools. It was very difficult because you need to systematize it. The fact that we are saying that imagination is more important than knowledge. This is Einstein, by the way, not me. We could not have promoted things like that in a chain of schools. Or the fact that we are saying that grades are not very important. It does not mean that we don't celebrate children who get good grades. Of course they're celebrated. My concern at that time is when the results come out in O-level, my concern is at that time that how do we comfort those who didn't do well? Because they are human beings and they have feelings and maybe they didn't have the same strength. And I think that even going to tests being very important, we ran the South Shore as well, and I was telling them that we should give them admission in February or March so that they sort of, whether I'll get admission or not is not hanging on their heads. They said, no, it has to be after results are out and this and that and that. which is what schools generally do now, top ones, yeah. Otherwise, everybody's moved to giving admission in January, February now. And what basis are they giving them? You see that? You see what I'm saying? They're no longer dependent. A level is a far more specialized program than O level and class 6 or class 7. That why are they suddenly saying that your grades are not important? What they're actually saying is important. So there will be a recommendation by the principal of the school. And these are his results. On the basis of that, they will give admission into A level. And if the actual results in August, considerably, different from what was projected, then obviously there will be some decision will have to be made. But every A level school is doing that now. So this whole myth of exams and this and that is actually being set aside for a very good reason. I think for a good reason, because the trauma of exam. There are three kinds of children. One is people love exams because they can show off that they are high achievers. They were high achievers. We knew it from class 3. Then there's a middle group, majority probably, which struggles, does not mind, but does not enjoy it. And then there's a good 20-30% at the bottom, which is traumatized by exams.
What if you're a high achiever in life but terrible at exams? Where's that group?
It happens all the time.
That group is also traumatized because they're constantly questioning their high achievements because they performed poorly in school and exams.
Do we need to give names of
It's over.
all of them, all over?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the big guys, Steve Jobs and Einstein, and I'm not talking about big guys. This happens all the time. You take up generally some of the successful people here. Never mind the business community. Their academics are probably the worst, and they are running your country.
But that's a different education. They've usually grown up in business households.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So the question is that if you're a high achiever and you can't get a job, that's trauma.
Yeah.
And if you're a poor achiever and do well in life, it's also quite a bit of questions mark. You're happy about it, but yes.
Yeah.
These are the contradictions here. And these contradictions will stay. It's a question of minimizing and trauma of children, which exams, in my opinion, do. It is a matter of providing as many, in practical sense, opportunities that you can to children to explore other things. For example, in my school, the butterfly club. And this parent comes and teaches the butterfly how they lay eggs and so on.
Really?
Yeah, all of that.
Just butterflies.
Butterflies. See, that's our passion. So we picked it up. Now imagine what it does to children. I would have been thrilled if I saw that eggs.
I'm happy to start a car club in your school. I'll talk to them about cars all day long.
So I think that this kind of innovation is not rocket science. It's not easy, but it's not rocket science either. Once you understand that we need to do things for children, what interests them, you'll find a lot of answers. How to structure those methodology or those practices will take some time. Then you require teachers to teach them in a creative manner, because you can teach butterflies hands-on,
right?
The leaf and the flowers and so on and so forth. But a teacher can make it very boring also. So teachers training, coming back to our original question, teachers training is very important if the raw material is good.
True.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time out. I'm fascinated by this topic. I think that it's ripe for disruption. Education, the sector is ripe for disruption. I think it's time, with technology, whatever role it plays, the curriculum, the environment, and the kind of people that we're producing, just given the current norms of society. The question really is, who will take that first step to make this disruption a reality?
Systems sometimes have their own internal mechanisms
of making that change.
Yeah, slowly. If a bigger person comes, maybe it'll be expedited, but systems have it, and systems will do that.
Well, hopefully our system does it soon enough, because I think we need it more than anyone else.
I hope so too. Thank you very much.
Best of luck with your with your school.
Thank you very
and
much.
With your students in the Butterfly Club especially.
I'll tell her this, the mother who does it.
Absolutely, a great idea.
Yeah.
And thank you all for tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.